if I can start off with a quote. It may not sit comfortably with everyone, but I cannot hide what drives my passion. And I think it's important for us to understand, especially if we're coming at value creation, we understand where our motivations and goals lie. So this is one of my key triggers. Our posturings, our imagined self-importance, the delusion that we have some privileged position in the universe are challenged by this point of pale light. Our planet is a lonely speck in the great enveloping cosmic dark. In our obscurity, in all this vastness, there is no hint that help will come from elsewhere to save us from ourselves. I am committed wholeheartedly to entrepreneurship education with its ability to facilitate students' abilities and willingness to create value for themselves and others, irrespective of career choice. But we can't deny the startling realities of the situation, the rising temperatures, melting polar caps, the fact we're in a pandemic. As educators, particularly, if not parents and citizens, we have a responsibility to provide learning contexts which are stimulating and rich enough to cover multiple discipline outcomes, answer to many types of learners, employers, stakeholder, industry. But we can further aspire to ensure skills developed will positively contribute to the social civic responsibilities of different value creators in society, and contributing not just to economic growth and job creation, but the wider cultural and economic value. So I don't think it's exaggerated to say the learning experiences we planned for and facilitate in our classrooms, virtually or otherwise, will help shape the minds and actions and thus destinies of actors in our global system. So today I want to, in the short time I'm with you, and I know I won't be able to do justice to all the local, and global efforts, everyone contributing to this agenda. And it is fortunate I can't do that because that means there's a growing interest in the topic. But I assume encouraged further with the vulnerabilities that are being revealed by the ongoing pandemic. So I do apologise up front if I don't reference a good work you're involved in or an idea you may be familiar with. But I will walk you through some content covering the whys and hows of SDGs for value creation, and I will engage in a short breakout chat towards the end. Okay, so I can't keep an eye on the chat at the same time because I've got too much going on my screen, but I know Hazel will help me with that later on. So I think it's important just to make sure for everybody's, I don't know how many people are quite new to this or you've actually come across the Luckiest and colleagues flower, just to bring us all up to speed. We are talking about creating value and being more than economic value. Entrepreneurship education tunes into many types of value creation, not just the dominant economics. So it's about influence, harmony, social, environmental, which allows us to encourage learning to take place through many types of real world contexts and make use of collaboration to allow learners to work on projects, themes and goals of which they can identify with personally or as a community or as a business interest. So through such projects, they should be empowered then, hopefully, to go out and be self-motivating in wanting to go out and address those global challenges themselves. So it doesn't matter where you start off with this, whether it's with a personal, community or business issue. The key is that the learning environment involves into practical activities that embed the problem-solving capacity, the team working experiences, the creativity, and that ability to handle complexity and change. So for me, starting, organising, mobilising movements for change through an entrepreneurial lens with the SDGs started with a powerful story. Not many people may know, but I actually self-identify as an edu pirate. And I don't mean, on the form that comes through the post for the government, but I align with the magnificent endeavours of the Golden Age pirates, specifically from the 1690s to 725, which highlighted the social change agents that author Sam Conniff-Allende in his book Be More Pirate talks about. Men and women who set the world alight with audacious rebelliousness and a clear commitment to make things happen. They were progressive people drawn from esteemed institutions. They were reformers, suffragettes and influencers of change. So coming from this perspective, when I found the EntreComp framework, I fell in love with it because I found it to be a flexible reference framework that would facilitate the 21st century change agents that would help with the agendas that I personally have, and I believe my learners are also committed to. Learners that want to transform their ideas into action, have space for ethical and sustainable thinking, promote a self-awareness, self-efficacy, nurture the ability to cope with ambiguity, uncertainty and risk, be applicable to all disciplines, all age groups, promoting their integration. So an experiential and action-based learning approach that helps facilitate entrepreneurial skills such as critical thinking, problem solving, and not just for the narrow context of setting up and running a business, for example, on an enterprise course. So the EntreComp framework highlights and incorporates the ties, interconnections and synergies of entrepreneurial learning with the full suite of the SDGs. And it's therefore no surprise that the UN endorses entrepreneurship as an important means of accelerating the SDGs. And it's a tool we can use in our classrooms to introduce our students, not just to the reams of words and they can spot which numbers which of the UN goals, but to genuinely open up the possibility of social connection and transformation, that creative and entrepreneurial application, not just those gifted with generous resources. For me, entrepreneurship can be a transformative driver, offering the scaffolding for both attaining and delivering the SDGs, whilst fueling economic growth, led by the principles of sustainable development. So in summary, entrepreneurial value creators are uniquely poised to help support the SDGs, while the topic of sustainability itself is a fantastic value creation opportunity across business and society. So the SDGs for value creation embeds all the themes covered off by my inspiring colleagues that you've already met in all the previous EntreCompEdu cafes to date. It is the ideal canvas to inspire creativity, problem-solving application, encourages teaching practices that facilitate students to be more creative and ambitious in the way they look at the world and approach problems from any contexts, all key to living in a VUCA, volatile, uncertain, complex and ambiguous world. It's really we're learning for application in real life. It naturally steers assessment that focuses on simply the capture of learning, like we are used to, for example, with our reports and essays and that sort of thing, through to about entrepreneurship, for entrepreneurship and learning through entrepreneurship, presenting lots of opportunities for self-mapping of learning and progression. There are clearly rich opportunities for students to act and reflect iteratively. It also sits with the theme that is technology, not just by making use of the tools and the media, but to provide credible experimentation spaces with the new digital landscapes into which we're constantly evolving. Human issues cut across all societies, context, age, so the opportunity for collaboration is limitless, with even greater scope, which I hope will increase exponentially, will be connecting the dots around individual, group, business, community and multi-stakeholder projects. So I feel the SDGs, by having them out and working on in educational context, we have the potential to power up action and impact as activity is shared and impact tracked more widely. But we need to think big about this. I think we need to be ambitious. And this applies not just to collaborating within our schools and institutions, but between learners across institutions, across faculties, across, reaching out to broader stakeholder groups. And the end goal is that our students, they're self-serving and self-motivating then, that they can be sustaining, effective value creators in society with very adaptive capacity to working towards whatever purpose, including social and their individual and global concerns. As I've already mentioned, SDGs provide a very meaningful orientation for EntreComp value creation, while SDG value creation relies on, I believe, EntreComp competencies. For those not familiar with the term, what I love about SDG entrepreneurship marriage is that it allows us, it encourages us to think big and to look to the more complex issues, so we can skill towards wicked problem solutions. Wicked problems being those problems in society, just like the pandemic, which are characterized by uncertainty, ambiguity, they're constantly evolving, there could be multiple possible causes, potentially no established solutions, as captured in the diagram there. So the SDGs are meaty issues. They will challenge, they stretch the aspirations of ourselves and our learners further, as well as being urgent and fundamental to our survival. And the SDGs are, you know, they've been carefully put together by lots of countries. They were designed as neutral, non-political, so they're very powerful to align communities and shared endeavours, but they do require a new management and leadership mindset and an entrepreneurial approach. So we need to be using these to teach our young to face uncertainty, complexity, enthusiastically and confidently. So these issues may not necessarily be contained or managed or eliminated, but there's so much potential for value creation and impact. And collaboration is key and partnership is key. So this slide here is very busy, but it was I was trying to sort of like sell a message here, and I think that it is a journey, and you have to take time to build in the stages. But it is important that we don't get stuck at base camp for long. And I think we've done that with the sort of checkbox, tick box sustainability agendas that we've been quite used to, especially in previous decades. We spend a lot of time in talking shops, pushing the issues around the table, naming them. Yeah, okay, discussing them, all good foundation work. But the goal is to take action, have impact. We want our learners to want to be motivated to look at the SDGs, motivated to self-select them, look at the value creation opportunities, tool up, be competent to make their own creative links between them and the opportunities. So I was pleased when I read around especially the forum entries in our EntreCompEdu framework, that people are naturally cautioning against the SDGs becoming a tick box framework. So credit where credit's due. There are lots of schools, universities out there, you might even be part of them yourselves, who are embracing the SDGs already. They're repositioning their curriculum around them, using them as a strong foundation for authentic collaborative projects with stakeholders from the community, business and beyond. But it is hope that we scale up this, we strengthen it, and we connect on many more levels. So we need to use entrepreneurial thinking to support learners to investigate issues thoroughly from multiple perspectives and lenses, understand their motivations to act, to find a value creation opportunity, interact with communities, businesses, multiple stakeholders, test and understand their strengths and weaknesses, set ambitious goals, take risks, fail, build collaborative networks, ultimately do something, then share and come back and inspire others with their stories. So for me, this slide also then captures what I believe what we're trying to do in this space. An EntreCompEdu educator, what we're trying to do here is power people, amongst a few other things, to address the SDGs. And it shows how the SDGs are paying back continually in terms of the experiential learning opportunities that strengthens the overall competencies that our learners are then taking away for application in any context. So I mean, you can read the screen yourself, but as far as I'm concerned, when we take you through a program and help you use the EntreComp framework and grow those competencies for yourself as an educator, then as well as for your learners, we are developing 20th century skills and competencies. We are recognising problems as opportunities for value creation. We're collaborating, we're networking, and we're actually then helping change mindsets, challenge practices, promote sustainable ones, empowering people, questioning, disrupting underlying assumptions and practices, developing initiatives, self-confidence, taking risks, experimenting, etc. So that was me just sort of getting a bit carried away about how amazing I think the framework is. So, so it's a bit detailed there. So moving on to a bit of action sharing, because I know I'm kind of running out of time. The next portion of the presentation is a sample of how others are working with the SDGs to create value. So this school is very close to my heart, Darwin School in Clonelly. It's our first EntreCompEdu Pioneer School. The whole school completed the training in full and have already used their entrepreneurial competence to target and unlock the creativity and innovation, critical thinking and problem solving, and planning and organisation that's going to be required from them in the legislated mandated new curriculum for Wales. But they continue to apply their EntreComp skills. And this busy slide in front of you is just an example of 1 week of full school commitment to celebrate Global Entrepreneurship Week a few months ago with a focus on sustainability. That's why the SDGs is a link there. The nursery children engaged in a series of tests carried out to work through the properties of CDs, to successfully use them to decorate them and create these kind of light catchers which fuel their curiosity and experimentation. The foundation phases raise money for classroom resources by being inspired by a story and a concern for bird welfare in their school's swale. And they voted and they created bird feeders which they sold profit. We had a recycled paper production team. Following a Jamboard session, the younger juniors were involved in face map projects, 100% bespoke and recyclable materials. The higher juniors got involved in bespoke sustainable bunting and was able to send these out to nursing homes to brighten up their day. So that, you know, interacting with the community as well. There was projects to upscale all t-shirts as well into bags, drawing on all manner of ideas and opportunities, resources and interaction competences. But what is clear from that picture is the marriage of sustainability with entrepreneurial skills. It's fun. It helps people develop creative ideas, solve local problems, you know, be better citizens and support with the skills and development to turn those ideas into actions. So I also wish to inspire educators to tap into the commitment and inspirational networks and resources and activities of our more proactive communities. In case you didn't know, there's been a commitment for 14 leadership cities around the world who have pledged to share their practices, challenges and innovations with others to scale up SDG implementation at a local level. So I don't, just in case you might want to kind of find out about your nearest local leadership city, but as just one project in one city example, we have the Global Goals Centre there, thanks to a share from Dr. Verity Jones. And what they're doing is they're creating spaces where they're going to have somewhere where school groups and visitors can take students on an in their shoes type journey. And they've got a great massive house to showcase the personal connection to the goals. They'll pass through magic portals into different experiences, highly experiential, from it could be food waste or you know, fast fashion. It's also working with technical students from universities and their community student university partnership and action groups. So there's all this kind of lovely stuff. You know, there's no point reinventing the wheel here. There's amazing stuff going on around us. I'm also proud, I'm going to have to say it, you know, I've got a Welsh accent here. It'd be wrong for me not to promote that Wales was the first country to legislate on incorporating the SDGs into legislation. And we've got a Wellbeing of Future Generations Act, which helps or encourages us then as public bodies to think more about how we take a more joined up approach and fuel an appetite for the use of the SDGs for action over awareness. It's important not to drop the business focus either. You know, I know we kind of steer away. It's not just about business, but there's businesses out there doing good stuff as well. And it's fantastic to see that a lot of businesses have been very proactive and they're employed for SDG, for value creation. I've just got a couple examples here. And the point is that they're showcasing their stuff. This is great material for students to look at and help them see how the connections across operations, value chains can be used, and competitive advantage can be found and efficiencies can be found through the lens of the SDGs. I got an example there, not for you to read the small wording, but just as an example there with CEMEX, where they have continued to show that they are you know, producing new capitals through working on their SDG value chain. So the materials out there, it's free, and they are fantastic examples for students to be exposed to work through those examples, improve upon them, encouraged to identify their own examples and resources to inspire their own value creation ideas. The next few slides are just going to jump through. I co-founded a harmonious entrepreneurship society, and we are trying to sort of pull together, because we do waste a lot of time all looking for the same things. So I've migrated this over from there. The links that I just put in front of you, just some of the resources I've used or looked at, where they've actually got free resources, free classroom materials, you know, to help you know, start that sort of journey off. I know these are quite heavily UK centric, English speaking centric, and that's obviously due to my own sphere of influence and language, but I welcome any signposting on any additional materials, and we'll be happy to share those. But I do note I have been continually learning alongside you all on, and been so inspired and enthused by the ideas and activities you've been sharing with us in the EntreCompEdu spaces. So there's some extra ones there. You may probably pick up on the new ones, secondary and higher education. There's some there from, you know, that kind of cover all the, you know, they're not explicit to a particular age group, business centric, and there's lots of linked agendas as well, where the resources floating around are free and fab, and that's it. So I have to mention Oliver Spichkins, who has been very enthusiastically highlighting some new ones to me before my presentation. So yes, no inventing the wheel here. There are amazing resources we can use for all types of learner context, from the youngest, you know, stories, digital games, role models, tips, etc. And I know you were already introduced to the UNESCO resources in module 2 and 3 as well. Yeah, and so moving on then, I feel at least I aspire to be a role model to the power of the entrepreneurial mindset. So I have been motivated myself to do something, take action with fellow educators. So noting a gap in the market for support in addressing entrepreneurship through a more harmonious approach, and that heavily draws on systems thinking. So whilst I recognise that humane, social, eco entrepreneurship is very powerful, sometimes they can fail because they're not sustainable in the longer term. So harmonious entrepreneurship really sort of pulls back the importance of economic stability. So we also recognise sometimes when you try to address one problem, you create new problems. So that recognising the solution of one problem creates another. That's in accordance with Popper's terms, and in accordance with Ashley's law of requisite variety. This interconnectivity that is needed is important, that if we are going to solve problems, we need to be addressing all the elements, the people, the profit, the planet. So, so that's the sort of niche aspect that we offer through the harmonious entrepreneurship. So we are focused on trying to help educators facilitate harmonious entrepreneurship, help people launch a harmonious entrepreneurial venture, encourage research in this area, and to disseminate you know, good research and best practice. And one of the case studies we've got on the website is, what I love about this one is it's actually came from the classroom. Sanergy, a franchise company, which provides non-sewered affordable sanitation solutions, was the brainchild of MBA students in MIT, where they were set a challenge by their educators to find a solution to a problem facing 1 billion people or more. And they found that countries, obviously sanitation is a big issue, and they felt that it could be done profitably by adopting a more systems thinking approach. You can read more about it at the website and access other examples, but I think this example is kind of really powerful because it explains how you know, how powerful it that society thinking using also SDGs can, you know, make a massive difference and spring from within the classroom. So I want to draw attention to the apps that are available. We noted in the forums, it was clearly not everybody's aware of some of these basic tools that are easy to download and are free. I call out thank you to Montserrat Seco, John Lees, Julie Dengan, Callum Ashidod, Ashley Chu, Cara Bailey, Kirthi and Oliver who've been very vocal in the forums on SDG uses. And I have actually listened into what you're saying quite cleanly and sort of blended it into my presentation today. So I think we're okay on time, Hazel.
So do breakout rooms, Felicity?
Yeah, I was just checking you were still there. Right,
Yeah,
what I'd like to do then is, before I finish, I'd like us to just break out into rooms. I've got a Padlet link waiting in the rooms, and I would just like to see if the people would like to share any ideas or activities that they're, you know, quite passionate about, they're involved in at present, they'd like to, you know, showcase back, and we can sort of share that on. Or it might be they just want to talk through and brainstorm what sort of activities they could do within the classroom using an entrepreneurial mindset to address the SDGs. So SDGs for value creation. So it's we've got a little bit of flexibility there. So it's either you're really empowered, you want to tell us a story or tell us about something that you're doing, or use it as an opportunity to discuss ideas storm if it's completely fresh to you.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Okay, thank you.
So does anybody want anything they want to share from their groups? Just to change the voice for a second. And you've got any burning ambition to share something?
I just found it really interesting. Listen, I work at an independent school, so we go nursery to A level. And I was saying that I know of the Sustainability Development Goals, but because we are so content driven to achieve exams, particularly being in an independent school, and parental pressures and university places and university expectations, that experimental learning often sort of gets sidetracked for content all the time. So it was really interesting. Oliver was saying to sort of look towards more towards the extracurricular and try and find other avenues to bring it in. And Makuba was saying the same thing. So it was just interesting listening, and particularly Oliver gave a quote about the 70-20-10, the percents of learning. And that, you know, I haven't heard that before, so that's really interesting.
Thank you, Ellen, and I do get that, but I suppose that's where the pirate in me comes. Whereas, like, it's about, you know, as educators, we haven't got just the challenge of sort of trying to find a productive way to make use of the SDGs, because it's a two-way. You know, the SDGs help us with their entrepreneurship development skills for a real life world life, rather than pieces of paper they take out from their education. The education means something, but the SDGs are fundamentally an important human goal here, that if we don't sort it out, you know, we've got some big issues. So yeah, but there's this challenge as well, that we're at the same time chipping away at the status quo, and like you said, challenging, you know, is it okay that we are so assessment orientated? So yeah, there is that sort of, you know, battle. We're not gonna, you know, it's part of, you know, the challenge is just to be chipping away and to be rebellious about it, and do it differently, and ignore and do your thing, because that's how I've got on with it. You know, I just, if I think it needs to be done, I do it, and I guess that's why I will be quite open about being a pirate. so yeah, I'm not sure how much piracy you can do in an independent school, but I think people are starting to challenge and kick back.
My best shot.
All right, thank you for that, and thank you. I'm glad that you are seeing some value in it. Okay, so I just want to say thank you for your time, and I really wanted to sort of say that whether you're out there like myself, you know, trying to breed Gretas and put my hands up, make pirates, change makers, you know, you've got the Bill Gates and his goalkeepers, trying to challenge the systems that are letting us down. Please just bear in mind, if you haven't already done so before, the SDGs are an ideal way to support the competence development that will unleash creative and innovative talent onto society's toughest challenges. across the sustainability, social and economic agendas. So I do hope you enjoy work facilitating the VCs through the SDGs, that you are out there challenging your learners, developing motivations to act, connecting learners to other stakeholders, because the more we care about it, the more likely other people are going to be inspired to care about it as well. And I do hope the EntreComp framework serves you well in supporting your understanding and application and growing your strengths. But set goals, build a network, do something, and share the story and the messages and actions, because it's your voice and your actions, whether you succeed and fail and succeed and fail, this is where the change will happen. Okay, and you know, I do believe we are, as educators, we have that as a responsibility now, because we are shaping the minds of the future. So I look forward to sharing a journey with you out there on the sea of change.
Thank you ever so much, Felicity, for a great session, really stimulating, really great. Thank you very much. And thank you, everybody, for participating. Julie, did you have a question? Oh, that's clap. Sorry, I was wondering if that was a hand up then. Lovely. Thank you very much. Thanks, Julie. Thanks, Felicity. Okay.
I noticed somebody said, any examples from Africa? I did apologise up front. I'm not omnipotent. I don't have every access to every country. But if you do have any examples, Africa, America, whatever, please let me have them and I will share them, okay? Because I would really love to go out there. But I do know some of the links I showed you, my visual, do go a multi-country, like UNESCO, and they've got some fab examples in different countries. But I'm probably also concerned about language access, that it's not just, you know, English speaking, that we do want to share the languages as well.